Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Today we are going to present about exceptional children. But before we go that far, I would like to introduce our group members. This is our group members. Okay, firstly, my name is Nur Fadila binti Nur Azam. Secondly is Siti Aisyah binti Abdul Razak. Next, Anis Mahani binti Azumi. And lastly, Salwani binti Abdul Rahim. Now, our presentation today, we will talk about the introduction, what is exceptional children, and then we follow up with interview content, related issues of exceptional children, teaching strategies for exceptional children, Islamic perspective, and a conclusion to conclude what we have learned throughout this presentation. Hello everyone, my name is Fadila. And today, I will be your first presenter for this presentation. And I would like to introduce to you what is exceptional children. The term exceptional is commonly used to refer to both children with developmental disabilities and children with gift or talent. Children with exceptionalities are defined as children who differ from normal children in terms of mental characteristics, sensory abilities, communication abilities, behavioral and emotional development, as well as physical characteristics. So basically, someone is labeled as exceptional in one or more fields or traits of their personality because they possess something exceptional, which is uniqueness or being different from others who possess that trait or quality. There are several categories of these exceptional children. Firstly is gifted children, secondly is slow learners, thirdly is underachiever, fourthly is physically handicapped children, and lastly is delinquent children. Gifted children are defined as children who have been endowed with exceptional natural ability, intelligence, or talent. Gifted children have high cognitive ability, creativity, and superior talent in specific areas. Gifted students could excel in 6 domains, which are intellectual ability, creative thinking, scientific ability, social leadership, mechanical skills, and fine arts talent. Gifted children are also based on their IQ intelligence and their potential to perform at remarkably high level of accomplishment when compared with others of their age, experience, and environmental. These are characteristics of gifted children. Gifted children have very high IQ, extraordinary memory, ability to apply knowledge in new contexts, ability to think abstractly and symbolically, knowing a lot about things that other students are not aware of. The slow learner is in a state of being below the normally accepted level in learning things. Their ability to deal with abstract and symbolic material such as language, numbers, and concepts is severely limited in terms of learning ability. They require a lot of external stimulation and encouragement to do simple tasks. Disabilities found in slow learners are related to cognitive strength and learning ability. As a result, there are a group of students who frequently struggle with reading, writing, and counting. For example, if a child's mental age is 10 years old, we assume that his attainment age is also 10 years old. On the other hand, if his attainment age is lower than his mental age, he is considered as a slow learner. These are the characteristics of slow learners. Firstly, their attention and concentration span are limited. Secondly, inability to use higher order mental processes. Thirdly, inability to identify familiar elements in new information. Fourthly, their reaction time is low. And lastly, limited self-direction abilities. Underachiever children are defined as children whose achievement is not commensurate with their ability. It means that the achievement of a person below his level of intelligence. Their performance is not promising and their study habits may be poor as well as their self-confidence low. Underachiever child is one who has high potential in areas other than academic but does not use it. These are some of the factors that contribute to underachiever children who do not reach their level of achievement. First, lack of endurance and interest. Next, lack of attention and concentration, lack of parental encouragement for their child's schoolwork, peer pressure, and lack of desire to learn. A physically handicapped child is one who has a physical disability. They may be blind, deaf, mute, or cripples. Being physically handicapped consists of damage to the structure and function of the body. Another definition is an individual with a physical disorder that restricts or prevents him or her from participating in normal activities. A person with a physical handicap can still do his or her job well and retain his or her strength and advantages, but it limits his or her reach. For example, a blind child may have strong legs but be unable to fully utilize them. People with physical handicap are classified as follows: visual impaired or blind, acoustic defect or deafness, speech impaired or mute, orthopedic disabilities or paralysis. Delinquent children are children or adolescents who are under the age prescribed by law and they have violated criminal law or engaged in disobedient behavior and require rehabilitation. Delinquent children encompass a wide range of behavior they engage in, including truancy from schools, disobedience to parents, consumption of alcohol, smoking, bullying, and others. Overall, the delinquent child is a term that denotes acts with varying degrees of social consequences, ranging from minor misbehavior to major assault punishable by law. Next, I would like to present our interview session with a student majoring in special education.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Fadila binti Nur Azam. Okay, I am a student at International Islam University Malaysia. Actually, this is my assignment project about the exceptional children. So today, I choose you to be my interviewer. Before we start, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Najia Hamidi Maslan. I am currently studying at the Institute of Teacher Education Malay Women Campus in Melaka and I'm majoring in special education.
Okay, thank you, Sister Najia. Okay, so we start from our first question. Okay, I want to ask you about what are your views on exceptional children in education?
Children with exceptional different from typical children in terms of behavior, intellectual and communication. For example, children with autism and Down syndrome will mostly have communication and intellectual problems. They are slow in communication and have no social interaction in eye contact. In fact, they often do repetitive tasks such as tapping, counting, and so on.
Oh, okay. Okay, we move to our second question. What are the common problems of exceptional children in learning?
Children who are slow learner may be slow in learning, not focused, have problems in communication skills, and have difficulty understanding what is being learned and have difficulty making eye contact.
What are your roles and functions as a future teachers or parents?
As a future teachers and parents, I will use appropriate methods to the problem encountered and I will try to improve their quality of life through learning visual art, music, sports and games as well as recreation.
What are the teaching strategies used for exceptional children?
For blind children, they use braille in learning in addition computer-based equipment, tactile and audio equipment can be also used. For myopia children, magnifying glasses, binoculars, larger screen, AP size with larger writing than normal print are used. For deaf children, sign language, speech, cochlear impairment, hand include computer-based equipment captioning, oral method, comprehensive communication, telephone text or we call as ETY, and electronic equipment are used. For slow learners, children of learning problem children, we use N-card, PECS or picture exchange communication system, Metaton, computer-based equipment, electronic equipment, multi-sensory method, tactile method or touch method.
Alright. Are there any skills and technique that could be helpful in helping the children?
I think for this question, the answer is the same as the teaching strategies question.
Okay, I understand. Okay, we move to what are your suggestions to improve special needs education in Malaysia, and what courses should be included?
My suggestion is to increase inclusive schools so that the children with disabilities can mix with the typical children. Encourage every teacher regardless of the subject to learn about children's problems so they can understand the difficulties faced by these children. Provide and create many more methods and support materials that can help these exceptional children in their learning expression.
Okay, so how important are the roles of society?
The role of society is very important in providing support and encouragement to exceptional children so that they do not feel humbled by the disabilities bestowed upon them. Society should not underestimate their weakness but try their best to provide assistance in terms of kindness, motivation and so on.
Okay, my last question is, does the awareness about special needs education in our society have reached a satisfactory level?
Unfortunately, no, because there are still many more individuals out there, not only the general public, but also the educators themselves who do not understand the plight of these exceptional children. This is because they are unaware and not aware of the current learning needs of the children. This lack of awareness causes them to feel that the children is troublesome and has no need to develop their talents. Hence, the government needs to do more campaigns and webinars to spread about exceptional children to society and educators.
Okay, thank you, Sister Najiha. That's all from me. Thank you for your time.
What are your views on exceptional children in education?
These kids are a valuable asset if they can be polished properly, because of each of them have the ability a normal child. For example, a child which is different from autism problem. Some of them can master the skill of numbers, space, language compared to a normal child.
What are the common problems of exceptional children in learning?
Usually, they have a short focus, have social skill problem, unable to recognize the basis of reading and attack.
What are your roles and functions as a teacher and or parents?
A parent, they can do the examination and treatment with doctors and perform therapy on an ongoing basis. And then, as a teacher, try to identify problems and plan appropriate intervention.
What are the teaching strategies used for exceptional children?
There are 4 methods can be done. Number 1, centralizing and teachers. 2, student centralizing. 3, material centralizing. And number 4, activities centralizing.
Are there any skills and techniques that could be helpful in helping the children?
Skill and technique to help the children, like storytelling, learn while playing, discussion, demonstration, problem solving, multisensory method.
What are your suggestions to improve special needs education in Malaysia?
Your suggestion for improving special need education in Malaysia? Okay, number 1, provide conducive facilities. Number 2, provide learning opportunities for special needs in order to deliver their full potential. Next, increase cooperation among and overcome obstacles and provide understanding towards achieve equality. And next, plan and manage allocation and expenses fair and prudent. Plan and provide various support service.
So what courses do you think should be included?
For me, I really need like therapy course, multimedia course, like saving course, and agriculture course.
The next part is related to issues of exceptional children. This part will consist of 3 elements where the education right of exceptional children factors and special education for exceptional children. The first one is education right of exceptional children. The rights of exceptional children become an issue whether they do or not have the right to an education without discriminating based on mental and physical disability. But in one sense, every child is exceptional. There are not even 2 children who are exactly look alike with one another in their ways of learning and behaving. Therefore, exceptional children need a free and appropriate education same as other ordinary children to maximize their potentials. Besides, exceptional children also should be provided with greater facilities than normal children. The facilities include special building features, equipment, materials, and craft. Helping children with learning disabilities by preparing constructive strategies of learning and concentrating on building successful school experiences are needed for exceptional children instead of punishing them for not being able to cope with their peers at the same level. This is in line with the objective of positive psychology as defined by Martin Seligman and other psychologists who are seeking to capitalize on the qualities of the child and family to achieve success. In addition, a positive attitude can help children become self-sufficient and they also can practice self-management. The second element is factors of exceptional children. The speculation and research of the possible causes of learning disabilities can be divided into 2, internal factors and external factors. Internal factors can be referred to as organic, biological, or genetic factors, while external factors usually refer to the environment of the children. The internal factors consist of 3. The first one is brain damage. As we know, the brain is the center of learning. Due to that, many professionals have assumed that students with serious learning problems have some type of brain damage. For instance, some findings stated that there are differences in the structure, symmetry, or activity levels, or at least one hemisphere of the brain for individuals with and without learning disabilities. One of the researchers, Bigler 1992, used a method called magnetic resonance imaging (MRI), which is similar to an X-ray, to obtain a picture of the brain between individuals who are having learning disabilities and people who do not have learning disabilities. He found that some of the individuals with learning disabilities had different structures in the left hemisphere of the brain. This picture is a sample of an MRI of individuals with a learning disability and without learning disability. From this picture, we can see the differences in the structure of the brain in brain activity between poor and fluent readers while reading the text. The internal factors. The second factor is malnutrition and biochemical imbalance. Medical researchers suggested that the other possible causes of exceptional children, which are malnutrition and biochemical imbalance, such as allergies or the inability of the blood to synthesize a normal supply of vitamins. Next, the third factor is genetic. Several researchers found that having learning disabilities related to the inheritance from the family. The strongest evidence of this factor comes from studies of identical twins which show that both twins likely to have a learning disability if one twin had a learning disability. On the other hand, factors of exceptional children also come from external factors. This part divides into three factors, which is learning style, classroom factors, and environmental stresses. Studies reveal that there are wide individual differences among children of exceptionality. One of those is different ways of learning. Some people believe children identified as having a learning disability are those children who are getting a different type of instruction. All of the children have their own way of learning. For example, some children learn fast with video presentations, while some children learn better by reading books. Furthermore, the second factor is the classroom environment. This occurs from different levels of support in the classroom, such as lack of motivation from peers or teachers, inappropriate instruction, materials, and curriculum. Exceptional children need extra support from others since they are a bit different from other children in terms of learning. Extra support and motivational speech might encourage the children with learning disabilities to become more energetic and active in participating in the class session. The last factor of exceptional children is based on environmental stresses. This factor includes the children who are having personal pain, family instability, and peer influence. Children who are having pain cause them to leave behind their peers. However, this factor can be discarded if the children get the treatment or take an action to cure the pain that they have. Besides, family instability also can affect the children to have learning disability. As we know, family support is important to everyone since they are the closest person to us. So, if a person having a problem within their family, it possibly can affect their ways of learning in the class. Apart from family, peers also play an important role to the people that close to them. For instance, it clearly can be seen from a person's behavior. When a person is hardworking in doing homework or anything, and that behavior might influence their friend to become like that. The next part is special education. Special education is a program of education that meets the children's need to give them special rights and facilities for them both mentally and physically. This education is specially designed for exceptional children to learn the same way as other normal children. Firstly, we need to look at special education in terms of who, what, where, and how this education works. Special education is meant for exceptional children who need an individualized program of education along with a professional team such as special educators, regular classroom teachers, psychologists, speech therapists, physiotherapists, and special doctors as the guidance and instructors for exceptional children. Next, this education differs from regular education by its curriculum. For example, handicapped children, which is the blind person getting self-help skills or training in reading and writing Braille. Furthermore, special education is usually provided in the normal and natural environment such as special class, resource room, special school, or residential school. Besides, this education includes teaching strategies for exceptional children according to the student's need. For example, special educators use task analysis and skill training for mentally retarded children. Next, special education is distinguished from the regular educational program because it is included special materials, special training techniques, special equipment, and special help or special facilities. For instance, visually impaired children require reading materials in large print or braille, and hearing impaired children are required a hearing aid, auditory training, lip reading, and etc. While mentally retarded children require skill training in this educational program. The next is the principle of special education. The first principle is individual differences. This is due to the differences in students based on their disabilities problem, and special education provide the facilities and alternatives to meet their individual's needs. Next, zero reject. This principle aims to provide a free and appropriate education for all children with disabilities. Besides, the third principle is non-discriminatory evaluation. It provides an individual examination to identify the student with disabilities before being placed in a special educational program. This principle aims to ensure that exceptional children receive appropriate services. Next, the fourth principle is due process. This principle stated that the parents of handicapped children have the right to choose the most suitable program for their children. If they thought their children is not suitable for their children, they have the right to withdraw their children to find a better educational program for their children. The last one is parental participation. The involvement of parents in this program is essential since they also play a big role to educate their children at home. Effective special education also only can be implemented if the parents participate actively in the educational program provided for their children. In conclusion, special education is the best way to educate children with disabilities because they also have the same right to education as normal children have.
Next is the teaching strategies that can be used for exceptional children. In teaching strategies for exceptional children, special training courses offer a special service suitable for exceptional children who study in a compatible learning atmosphere for physically or mentally disabled students. The perfect classroom for special training offers a good education for disabled students. While the drive for online training and the integration of special education students in regular schools appears to be the focus of education these days, special education courses are also necessary for more seriously disabled students. The aim of this special classroom environment is to give the students who need it the most more intensive individual attention. Hence, the strategies that are applied in these classes can be applied for exceptional children in all types of classes. So the first approach that can be used to educate exceptional children is to form small classes of 2 or 3 students divided by their level, which can help personalize the teaching and not sacrificing time. For example, one group in math class can focus on the fundamentals, while a more advanced group may work on geometry. Students will be clustered along their educational journey according to similar levels and goals. Next is classroom centers. Classroom centers is another proper way to organize students. Each center in one region or state will be specialized. The centers are independent in terms of guidelines and all resources for teaching. It will also be somewhat self-explained and self-oriented to allow the instructor to rotate between the various centers. The community may be supported by a teacher, parent, or volunteer. Such centers, without giving up further direct teaching time, will find a balance between self-explanation. Next, another approach to educate students across many levels is to teach the entire community basic principles when combining individual teaching. Since any school subject has some general ideas that can be applicable, each student can profit from this regardless of their skill level. Reading, understanding method, fundamental principles for mathematics, organizing ideas for writing, or even a theoretical theory, these topics should be learned to promote the learning of each student in this field.
This expertise will be used by students for their individual tasks, but for more advanced students, the instructor might still add some extra material. In addition, revolving courses are another perfect to teaching. Courses can be rotated within the various classes or centers so that the trainer can present new content to a certain group on a particular day, while only checking on other people who perform more individual tasks. In such a course, the assistant instructor may also be of use. Special education teachers also have and must to consider the types of tasks that students have to complete. Many children will benefit from increased opportunities to repeat previously learned materials. This implies that rather than working on a new problem set at home or doing some reading to prepare for the next day's session, it is maybe more beneficial to go over the old content. They may go over the same problem set they did in class or go through a worksheet once again, but this time on their own. Next is repetition. Repetition is a great approach to reinforce what they learned and help new thoughts and information stick in your mind. As the difficulty level of working through a problem diminishes with greater experience, it can also enhance confidence and self-esteem. The exceptional students are also in need of break time during lessons. Break time is essential to make sure the students are not pressured too much to keep up with the learning content. Teachers can conduct many kinds of activities during this break time, such as reading a story, playing a quick game, get out and stretch, or engage in light conversation. For a youngster on the autistic spectrum, being able to get out of his seat and stroll about the room may be incredibly relaxing. Teachers should be able and sensitive to try to recognize the indicators that the students might require a break. Next is thematic instructions. Thematic instructions are used to connect a single theme into many topics. In special education classes, this form of teaching has proved to be very successful. A theme may be an experience that increases the ability to understand reading, a writing subject, or a historical incident. For example, all other topics may be linked to a historical incident. The topic should attract publicity, such as something that can attract and maintain the interest of the student. Last but not least is to provide many different levels of books and materials. Due to the various categories of proficiency and IQ that will take place in the classroom, please ensure that the various textbooks, levels, and other instructional resources of each subject is available. A number of levels are available to ensure that any students can learn at the relevant level. This reduces frustration and maximizes students' morale and momentum.
Additionally, Islamic perspective should not be neglected as Islam is the way of life. On this section, there are 3 elements based on Islamic perspective that will be elaborated. Firstly, the concept of education in Islam. The concept of education can be divided into 2, its purpose and its meaning. According to Abdullah, the purpose of education is to serve only to God as we are the vicegerents. Hence, producing a good man is the main aim of education in Islam. There are 2 dimensions that describe a man. The first one is the relationship between a man and his creator, and the second one is his relationship with others. Next, the second concept of education is the meaning, which refers to the point of view in terms of the terminology and philosophy. Al-Atas stated that the meaning of education is inherited from the integrated connotation terms tarbiyah, ta'lim, and ta'dib. According to Al-Atas, ta'dib is essentially more precise in interpreting the concept of education, though all terms refer to education. Next, ta'lim contains the elements of knowledge and schooling, that means to train, to school, to educate, and to instruct. Tarbiyah, on the other hand, means to bear, to bring forth mature produce, to incite increased growth, to nourish, to nurture, to bear, to feed, and to foster. Therefore, although these children are different, teachers need to be remembered that these children are still Allah's creatures and need to be shaped to be a better person. Secondly, the right and the obligation of seeking knowledge for children in Islam. The children have the right to be provided with knowledge by their parents as soon as they reach the age of comprehending and learning to develop their intellectual capabilities that to enable them to cope with their surroundings in the aspects of life. It is important to note that seeking knowledge is obligated in Islam and the parents are expected to perform this duty by providing education for their children. There are a lot of unacceptable notions and beliefs that some children do not deserve to get education. Nonetheless, every individual has a set of natural, social, and intelligence properties that are different from one another and that are bestowed by Allah. Every individual should be educated by giving the education that follows the scope of their abilities so that their potentials can be properly digged and nurtured. As mentioned in the Quran in Surah Nuh verse 14, and indeed He has created you through various creeds. Thus, if you forsake the children's right to get education, though it is obligated in Islam, we are automatically breaking Allah's order and will get consequences in the hereafter. Lastly, the protection of intellectual or mind based on Maqasid Sharia. Islam has provided principles to guide us in overcoming problems that arise in our life. Based on the Quran and Sunnah, Sharia's objective is to provide benefits to the mankind and prevent harmful things concerning their affairs in both this world and hereafter. Bear in mind that Allah does not need anything from these injunctions. Instead, these injunctions are for the sake of human beings. Intellect is the precious gift from Allah to His servants, and it is what makes us different from other creatures. With that being said, it is obligatory for us to protect this beloved gift from Him by utilizing this mantle for the benefit of all and not for anything that could lead to destruction. In order to achieve this, Allah has given us the free will for us to express and to tolerate our differences of opinions and views as long as those are in line with Quran and Sunnah. Plus, it is a must for everyone to not be prejudiced by respecting and accepting the differences of others. On that note, if the right of the exceptional children in receiving education or knowledge is neglected, the Maqasid Sharia of the protection of intellect or mind will be violated.
In conclusion, exceptional children have the right to education even though they are different from normal children in terms of physical, mental, emotional, and social development. Exceptional children also need additional support from others, particularly from parents, siblings, and teachers to boost their confidence and self-esteem. Besides, parents' role is important to encourage their children to learn and participate in the educational program. Furthermore, exceptional children have the potential to be successful as other ordinary children, so we must provide them opportunities to show and display their ability. According to Islamic viewpoint, the Islamic method of teaching is important since it is provided with both knowledge and morality for children. Lastly, the government should spread awareness of exceptional children in society, so that people becoming more aware of the value of exceptional children in school even though they are different from others. In other words, if they are allowed to demonstrate their ability, they may become a part of successful group in society and serve as positive role model for the next generation.